Chi vuole anche sedersi qua davanti va bene, poi dobbiamo cambiare la disposizione dei posti a sedere per questi giorni, però anche qua davanti si può sedere se qualcuno è più comodo. Anybody like sitting in the center here, it's also fine. Locho ya sampo pa gyu trashi pa tuche tempe trinle yarngo da pege drolora zambe zebrache pande alame shabla solvade Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sane Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dhagi Jetsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Sikso So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Oyon Sunge Nawa Tsedo So Tseje Ningne Sowa Debe Tse Dejen Korlo Viso Lekshune Yila Sambe Dede Malupa Gemel Hunge Drubra Jinge Lo Tsoni Sodan Dikdun Shape Tse Dunge Namke Yinso Lekshune Lapchen Tsoni Yonso Zopada Cherani Dun Chanra Jinge Lo Chancho Parge Ninsen Tukun Tu Nyu Peme Siudru Lekshune Chancho Drube Gegen Kunshi Shi Tungen Dela Drubra Jinge Lo Dagi Lona Chela Chokpa Dan Chemin Samjur Ngemba Shiwa Dan Chedan Tumbe Deden Malupa Bemel Hungi Drubra Jing Dorna Tingne Tsirava Tamche Dan Techi Pardo Nekaba Tamche Tu Rese Kyamne Lama Keleme Tukche Chingi Dala Sikso Sol Gongyab Drewe Nyamda Dachala Jetsun Lame Tuje Rabko Dralme tu nyamsu nyongwe kesan topra sho kewa kundu yanda lama dan drame cheki pela longchech sadan lamge yunte rabz dorje change kopa nyur tob shoya pakyuke kodan da geolu pakyuke sundan da genga Pakyuke tudan da geyi tün yerme çıktı çingi lo makyuke kudan da geylo makyuke sundan da genga tudan da geyi tün yerme çıktı Chingelo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Munye Swaha Om Muni Shakyamunye Swaha. Sashipeke Choshimeto Tramare Rabalingashi Nide Gyampadi Sangye Shintu Mikte Ulwarki Drokunam da shingla chöpar shoyi damanguru ratna mindrala kamniryata yami. Sangye chodan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchira sangye drupar shu sangye chodan tsoge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchira sangye drupar shua sangye chodan tsogi chonam la chancho pardo dani kyabs dagi jinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchira sangye drupar shua. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione. Con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Lai keda ludane jinke drubonda dami kenamdam drowa kunge dranam chitsampa tamche keto dagi chöten tamche keto dagi chöten. Buongiorno. Good morning. Imagine, how do you say in English, a pendulum, no? That it shifts from one side to the other, right? If I take anything and start going. When we are on one side, in order to reach the center, and I am on one side, first it goes to the other side, and then it comes like this, and then slowly is able to reach the center. And when we look in many contexts of teachings and so on, when we are in one extreme, we need to go to the other extreme slowly in order to find the middle way. I don't see so much the possibility to go from one extreme directly to the middle way. So, for example, in Buddha's teachings, there is different Buddhist schools which were actually different moments and contexts in which Buddha taught. And so when we look, apparently they may look contradictory, but actually they are complementary. So, for example, the first two schools, which is called the Vaibhasika and the Tantrica, Buddha is explaining how things exist externally. Now, yesterday we talked about these two futures, external future, internal future. So in the first two schools, starting from the Vaibhasika and then going to the Tantrica, Buddha explained very much how things exist out of their own characteristics. So, for example, if you like it or not, fire will burn. Water will make wet. There are things, external reality does exist. And then there is a whole detailed study and research on how the phenomena work and how it is even with our senses and everything, but showing that reality truly does exist. Okay? Then the second school, which is called the Tantrica, it goes to one step further, which is it keeps very strongly the fact that reality does exist externally, but then it starts also making a deeper research and explanation about how the mind functions. Okay, so it brings a deeper introduction to the mind. So we have external reality, that it's there, it's solid. And then we start to introduce a little bit more about the internal reality. Then the third school, which is called Chittamatra, which is translated also as the mind-only school, is another view in which Buddha explained how everything exists for each one of us through our mind. Nothing exists independently of the mind. So it's like if we go from one side, everything exists externally, then we go to the other side of the internal reality. Okay? And it is a very beautiful school. Actually, it's the most somehow complex school to understand is the mind-only school. You know, there are great scholars that pass years and years studying it. We are not going to any levels of details now. But basically, it is saying that nothing exists independently of the mind. Okay? Everything that we perceive, everything that we experience, it exists through the mind. Okay? Then we go to the next school, which is called the Madhyamika. And in the Madhyamika school, we have two types. One part is the Madhyamika Tantrica, and the other one is called Madhyamika Prasangika, which is the last school of Buddha's teachings. And the Madhyamika Tantrica, it says, reality is not external or internal. It's the union of both. There is a part which is external reality. Then there is a part of internal reality. And then the two together make what we call reality. So it is saying whenever we perceive anything, it's like something, it's there, and something, it's here inside, and then when the two come together, it's what we call reality. Okay? Then comes the Madhyamika Prasangika school, in which says, actually, we cannot make a true distinction between external and internal. It's everything, because one doesn't exist without the other. So it is like we go to one side, external reality. Then we go to the other side, internal reality. And then we go near, okay, external and internal. We are balancing between. And then finally, it is stable in the center, where there is no more difference. No, because when we take an object, no, even if we think about the physical process, no, let me see if I can just make a sort of explanation of what I have in my mind. I think you all understood, but sometimes it helps to have something graphic. when I take an object, okay, and it goes from one side to the other, it is going from one extreme to the other. Then at one point, it is at the center. When it is stable in the center, it means there is no more right, there is no more left, but both are there. Okay, I don't know if it's clear, this idea. Similar to that. But in order to be able to have the center, we need to go through the balance of the forces, no? One force going to one side, another, then slowly is able to reach that point. If we try to do something like that, let me try to explain. Let's say we are in this extreme, and we want to go to the center. Okay? It's very difficult because when we let go, we need to have a break in between. And this is not really possible. So what happens is that we need to go in this way until we can actually reach the center. Because if we try to go from here to here directly, it will be very, 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 very difficult. Okay? So we need these two sides in order to reach the center. And we can see this in many things. So when we talk about reality is one example from Buddha's teachings. This is not the subject that I wanted to touch now, okay? This is just an example. That when we go to look, Buddha explained, for example, relative truth and absolute truth. So we have on one side, we have relative truth, that everything exists in an interdependence, in the relation between each and everything, the complex interdependence between everything. On the other extreme, we have absolute truth, which is that nothing exists independently of the value attributed to it, but it's in truth that it is perceived in the same way by anyone that looks at it. And then what happened is that finally, the correct view is that absolute truth and relative truth are actually the same. The ultimate view is when we take away the duality. Okay? I know that I may be seeming a bit cryptic, but I just want to come to a point. Then I don't want to go into details on this subject, otherwise we stay for the whole week into it, and I love this subject, but I'm just holding myself not to go too much into it, okay? So what happens is that we need to go beyond duality, but to go beyond duality, first we need to see the two sides, because we are in one of the sides strongly. And our tendency is when we go away from one side, we go into the other. And we need to do this sort of dance until we reach the center and we are able to be stable in the center. So we have external reality and we have internal reality. And ultimately we see that external doesn't exist independently of the internal, internal doesn't exist independently of the external. So they are both of the same nature. And ultimately, we don't make any more distinction. It's just one thing. Now, there is another point, which is where I wanted to come. We have a body, right? And do we have a mind? Yes. Yesterday, we brought the question, what is the mind? And here, I believe that one of the reasons why we have such difficulty answering clearly this question of what is the mind, is because we'll try to find the mind in the opposite direction of the body, as two complete separate entities. Okay? But the fact is that mind doesn't exist independently of the body. And the body, as we know it, doesn't exist independently of the mind. Okay? Because what happens when the body is without the mind? It stops functioning, it decays. It's not alive anymore. So someone may tell me, but Lama, what about when we die? Isn't the mind going away from this body and so on? Yes, but In Vajrayana Buddhism, is being very clearly placed that we have 3 bodies and we have 3 minds. And they are always together. We have a gross body, okay? And together with the gross body, it goes a gross mind. And then we have a subtle body that goes together a subtle mind. And then we have a very subtle body that goes together a very subtle mind. Okay? And they are always together. So, to understand this, again, we need to go first to one side, which is we see clearly the body. Then, Anila. First, we need to go to one side, which we see clearly the body. Then we go to the other side, in which we see clearly the mind. But the objective is we come to the center where body and mind are not 2 distinct entities. Okay. So, in other words, it is not possible for us to work and to give a direction to our mind independently of the body. And it's also not possible to take care of the body and give a direction to the body without taking into consideration the mind. They are 2 different faces of the same. The more I go through my own path, the more I research, the more I reflect, the more I see how it's just 2 different names of the same thing. It's just like if we have, for example, if we take, like the cover of this booklet, okay? This side is white. This side has many different colors and drawings, okay? So I can say that one side is different from the other, right? But can I say that one side can exist independently of the other? If I eliminate one side, what happens to the other? It eliminates also. Okay? If I make a hole on one side, the hole comes on the other. So this in Tibetan we call ngowa chikla dokpatate, which means they are of the same nature, but yet of 2 different appearances. So the phenomena they are of the same nature when something happens to one, it inevitably will happen to the other. If one exists, the other exists. If one doesn't exist, the other does not exist. If something happens to the one, it will also happen to the other. So they are of the same nature. But yet, they are perceived in different ways. So they have different appearances. Okay? I don't know, how clear is this? Okay? So, what does this mean in a practical level? That it is not possible for us to go through our process of spiritual development and developing our inner qualities and thinking about the mind and emotions and all of that without taking into consideration the body. And on the other side, if we want to have a healthy body and so on, it is not possible to have a healthy body and so on without taking into consideration the mind. Okay? Because they are both they are 2 aspects of the same, are just 2 perspectives of the same reality, of the one entity which is called the self, the person, the being, whatever name we like to give to it. But we cannot separate the 2. Okay? But yet, because we live in a duality, we are not able to relate to it unless we relate with this distinction. For example, I don't know, when we relate to a physical body, we don't see the mind into it. We cannot perceive what it goes to the mind, and vice versa. When we are thinking about our emotions and so on, we have the understanding that yes, a certain emotion will have an effect on the body. No? And we say that what happens in the body will have an effect in the mind. I don't fully agree. Because when I say that what happens in the body will have an effect in the mind, I'm still talking about 2 separate entities. What happens in the body happens in the mind. What happens in the mind happens in the body. Okay? And we are not able to be beyond it. And this is one thing that sometimes, I'm sorry to be a little bit critical in a way, but sometimes we as Buddhists, we have this idea that everything is in the mind. The rest doesn't matter. If you think positively, everything will go well. Don't care about the rest. Just keep your mind positive. It's not exactly like that. We need to take care of our mind for sure. This part of the view. But we need to take care of the body. And then there is a third part, which ultimately it's also directly connected on many levels, which is the environment in which we live. Okay? But for now we keep in body and mind. But the environment in which we are, it is fully there. What happens in the environment is happening in the one that is living in that environment, and vice versa. What is happening in the being that is inside the environment is influencing and changing the environment together at the same time. So we are not like superheroes that we don't depend and we are not influenced by the environment in which we are. It is not possible. What happens around us interacts with us, so changes us. Okay. So, one of the particular aspects inside Vajrayana Buddhism, it is the fact of having an understanding and taking it seriously into consideration, mind and body as one. So, it is not just a matter of directing one's own thoughts and emotions and familiarizing oneself with certain emotions and thoughts and meditation and so on, but it's also a matter of training the body. Because what is interesting is that our body has a sort of memory also. And we need to train not only the mind, but also the body together. Okay? When we repeat something often, physically, we have this sort, I don't know if this is the right word in English to say, sort of muscular memory. Muscular memory. It's something that it's very spontaneous, it's very fast. It's not something that we need to stop and think about it and so on. Okay? And we need to work also on that level together. And on the other side, when we have certain emotions and so on, there are aspects which remain very strongly in the body. And the mind conceptually doesn't see it, but it is still there. So we need to work on the two together. Okay? It is said that in order to understand the relationship between body and mind as one, it is said in the ancient texts that the body is like a horse that is blind, while the mind is like the horse rider that cannot walk. So basically, the body cannot go where the mind doesn't take, but the mind is not able to reach where the body cannot reach. Okay? But there is one very interesting thing, is that when we direct our mind in one way, the body follows. So that's the power of visualization. That's the power of intention, also on a very more physical level. And the other point, what happens is that if we go through certain physical processes, it will naturally bring our mind to a certain mental state. Okay? So, we will now do together one meditation, which it's a very important practice, which is part of the preliminary practices also. It's a part of preparation for self-healing. And I think it's a very important part of the practice. The name of the practice is called Lungro Gudrup. Lung literally is translated as wind, but it's also prana. It's a translation from Sanskrit of prana, where prana is a physical thing. Prana is part of our subtle body. Our subtle body is made of channels, winds, and drops, which is the pathways of our subtle energy. The energy itself of two kinds, the one that moves faster and the ones that stay longer into one place and move more slowly, which are called the drops, or bindu in Sanskrit. Okay? And the prana is connected directly with our breath, and it is something that and it's very much connected also with our nervous system. So our subtle body, it's not only energy in a way. It is one of the descriptions of the subtle body is the part of our physical body that cannot be seen by naked eyes. But it is physical, it's not just something imaginary. Okay? And there is a direct connection between the subtle body and the subtle states of mind and consciousness. They are directly connected. Okay? So, because of this relationship, one of the things that we will do inside self-healing is to direct our mind in a certain way in order to direct our subtle body, in order to generate a certain emotional, mental, conscious state. Okay? It's like a sort of shortcut. We use the body in order to direct the mind. Okay? So the practice that we are going to do now is connected with that. It's called Lungro Gudrup. Lung means prana, energy. Ro can have different meanings. The same word in Tibetan, written exactly in the same way, which is rana ro ro. Ro can mean taste. It means taste. But it also means corpse. It depends. Tibetan is a particular language, okay? The same precise, same word, changing context, change meaning completely. So ro, in this case, lungro, it means not the taste of prana. It actually is the corpse of prana. And the word corpse in Tibetan, for example, when we drink tea, and we finished drinking the tea, there is the remain of the tea, which is not good anymore to make new tea, but there is the remaining of the tea. In Tibetan, that's called cha ro, where cha means tea, ro means corpse. That's the corpse of the tea. Okay? So basically, the word corpse here means something that have remained of something else and is blocking there. It's not really useful in that way anymore. And what is explained, what is the corpse of prana, of energy? When we go through a certain emotion, for example, we experience fear, or anxiety, or anger, or for example, we experience jealousy, or many other emotions, especially the negative ones, they generate a sort of tension that we can feel physically. And there is an energetic blockage that remains in the body after that emotion is gone. So let's say we experience anger. There is a moment in which anger is gone, but do we still feel it in our body or not? Or does it finish? When finished the anger, it's completely gone and we don't feel anything anymore. You know? I had one experience myself because I am, in a way, fortunated that, you know, I have different predispositions, but I don't have predisposition for anger. And so when we don't have much of something, when it's a little bit there, we can feel it more. Okay? When there is a lot, then we don't feel so much anymore at one point. So one time, a few years ago, maybe, thinking now, I think it's like 6 years ago, I got angry here. Whatever, doesn't matter the context now. And I really got upset and I really got angry, and it lasted maybe for 20 seconds. Okay? Then I calmed down. But I remained with a blockage here, which was initially quite painful, for around 3 hours. I went to have a walk, come down, and when I felt it, I saw, wow, if like 1 minute of anger can bring so much damage, so much harm, what more of that? Then I made a commitment to myself, I would never allow that to happen anymore. And up to now, it's going quite well. So, the point is, whenever we have these strong emotions, they generate tension. This tension, if it is accumulated more and more, it will go somewhere. Okay, there is one law of physics which I really like very much, which is that energy is never created. It's just transferred. You know? It's quite amazing actually when we think about that. Physically, when we think, okay, here we have lights. No, we can see the lights are coming. There is energy, right? Or for example, nowadays, these days, we can feel inside the gompa is more cool. But there is a transfer of energy. Where is this energy coming from? It's just being transferred from one place to the other. So in this case, we have our geothermal system. So basically, it transfers the heat from the water to the ground and vice versa, and then it cools the space here. Or if we look at the light, okay, we have nowadays finally working our solar panels. So we have the sun coming, being absorbed, transforming in I don't know how, whatever process. Then it's coming here, and there we have the light coming to us. And when we absorb this light in different ways, it is again energy being transformed. It's not just ending up in nothing. Okay? So, if we think that energy cannot be created or destroyed, energy can only be transferred. I don't know how clear is this for you. Okay? So when there is a certain energy, we need to make sure that we transfer it correctly. When we feel anger, for example, or sadness, is there energy involved into it? Yes. So, we feel in our body. So this tension is generated. This tension is a sort of energy. It's there, it's generated. What happens if I do not direct this energy in a way or another? It will get blocked. And suddenly it will be digested, let's call it this way. It will be directed maybe to my kidneys, maybe to my liver, maybe to who knows where. Okay? And in a way, finally it ends up, or maybe it will be transferred into a strong reaction somewhere else that has nothing to do with the rest. Okay? So it's really, really important that whenever we accumulate these negative energies from our emotions, we need to deal with the energy that was generated there, with this energetic blockage that was generated. I always remember one time I was with Lama Michel Rinpoche, translating for Rinpoche, and there was one friend that had a quite serious problem in the liver. I think it was the liver. And Rinpoche asked her, do you get angry often? And I knew this friend, and I never saw her really angry. And she said, actually, Rinpoche, I have been so angry for the past 25 years. But every time I feel so angry, what I do is I smoke something, I drink something, just to let it pass. But it is and was probably family issues. And Rinpoche said, okay, this anger you do, you will generate again and again. What you smoke, what you drink, doesn't solve anything. Just make you conceptually forget. You become like numb to it. But your liver doesn't. So this friend had a liver failure at one point. 2 times. So we need to redirect the negative energies that we generate possibly on a daily basis. Okay? And the function of this meditation is to clean our subtle channels from the energetic blockages created by our negative emotions. So that's why we call Lung Ro, the corpse of the prana, the corpse of the energy generated through the different emotions and states of body and mind that we go through in our daily life. Okay? So how do we do this practice? And it's called Lung Ro Gudrup. So we do it in 9 steps. Prana is directly connected with our breath. There is a direct connection with the subtle energy of our body, called prana, and with our own breath. And the other issue is that, other aspect is that when we direct our mind, our subtle energy follows together. Okay? If we look at the old text's explanation, it is said like this. When you think about moving the hand, the mind, like the horse rider, directs the wind. And the wind goes through the subtle channels towards the hand and make the hand to move. If we look from our, let's say, modern perspective, what happens in order to move a hand? There is a thought, which can be conscious or unconscious, okay, sort of automatic or not. But when we say, I need to take the glass, then what goes? We have the nervous system, a signal is sent through the nervous system that goes up to the muscle and make the muscle to do the movement. I think it's like that from my understanding, okay? So it's very, very similar. But what is being said here, it's clearly that when we focus our mind at one place, our subtle energy, the prana, goes into that place. So one of the very, very important aspects inside Vajrayana Buddhism, inside the practice of self-healing and all the other sadhanas, is to be able to develop a certain level of concentration where we can direct our mind so that we can direct our energy so that it can bring us to a certain level of consciousness. Okay, I don't know how clear is this, but as we go along self-healing, it will get more clear. So right now what we do is we do visualization, and the visualization helps to direct the mind. It's one of the powerful tools that we have to direct our mind. And so we visualize our subtle energy body. We have mainly our central channel. And what is interesting is that when we visualize our subtle body, it is not so important to visualize it exactly as it is. The visualization is there to direct the mind and the energy. So according to the way how we want to direct the energy, we visualize in a different way. That's why different practices have different ways of visualization. It's a different emphasis that is being given, okay? So right now, in this practice, we visualize the central channel that starts from our forehead. It goes through our crown, like the handle of an umbrella. And then it goes down through our spinal cord, at the center of our body, okay, until the basis of our spine. This is the central channel. White in the outside, red in the inside, okay? More or less like an arrow. We visualize it strong and straight. Then we have the left and the right channel, which they go from each one of our nostrils. They go out side by side together with the central channel. And 3 fingers, around 3 fingers below the navel, they enter into the central channel. Okay? Some people may ask, oh, and what about the knots? Because it is said that the right and the left channel, they go around the central channel. That's the places where we call the chakras. But in this practice, we don't visualize that. We imagine the left and the right channels straight, going side by side. Okay? So as we do this, we have 2 side channels, right and left. So Similar to what we know in modern medicine, that the right side of the body is connected to the left side of the brain, and the left side of the body to the right side of the brain. Okay? In the Vajrayana Buddhism, it explains that the right channel is related to the left part of the body, and vice versa. Okay? So, we have, generally speaking, the right side of our body is connected to male energy, which is mainly also the part of aversion, while the left side of our body is connected to the female part, which is also connected to attraction. Okay? So, these channels, they invert. So the right channel is related to female energy of attraction, while the left channel is connected to the male energy of aversion. Okay? So when we have different emotions, it is said that these blockages, they remain within these channels. And sometimes also in the central channel. The central channel, from a negative perspective, it's mainly where we have the energies connected to mental blockages and unclearness and mental fogness, and where it's not seeing, not understanding, not perceiving in that aspect. Okay? So we have attraction, aversion, and ignorance. So what we will do is we will stimulate one channel, which we can also use the term nowadays that for many people it's easier to understand, which is like a meridian. Okay? So we do stimulate this meridian as we put our hand in this way. Okay? The ring finger is a very important energy channel coming from the ring finger, which is also called the meridian of the heart, which is connected to it. Okay? In Tibetan we call Chanchu Semsa, which is called the channel of bodhicitta, but it's also the channel of desire and pleasure. So it is connected. So, for example, in Tibet, I saw Rinpoche doing once this, when there is someone that, mostly during teenage time or a little later, or someone that is in a state that cannot control their own energy of desire, is completely overwhelmed. No, when there is a very strong desire, especially sexual, and the person is not able to control and then doesn't know how to direct, one of the things that is done in Tibet, I saw Rinpoche doing once, is to put a ring on the ring finger of the left hand. And what they would do, instead of putting a ring of metal, together with it, they would put like a particular string and make it a little tight. Okay? And this would help to deal with this energy. This is just one example. Okay? So what we do is that we have many uses. So when we touch with our thumb at the root of the ring finger, we are stimulating that same energy channel. Okay? So then we close our hand. This is called the Vajra fist. Then what we will do, first I explained, and after we will do together. If you like to follow together, you can also follow. Then we will start by making a sort of self-massage, not too strong, but not too soft either. Starting from our knees, we come inwards, okay? And it is said that there is also the same meridian, it's also connected from here, okay? So we go this way, we come up, we go forward, and then going more or less where we have the basis of the thumb, we continue in the same way until we reach under our armpit. Then here there are two systems, as I will explain one. We put our two fingers upwards, which is the middle finger and the index finger. The index goes behind the middle finger. And then with the right hand, we close the right nostril. And then we will inhale deeply. And we imagine as light and nectar comes into our left channel. It goes up, down, it goes down to our below the navel where the channels meet. When we finish to inhale and we put all the energy below our navel,
Then we hold for a moment our breath, and we focus all our energy below the navel. And as we hold our breath, we close the other nostril, and then we exhale. In order to put all the air out, we can exhale like in 3 times. We don't need to do it with force. We do it very gently, because some people sometimes do very strongly, like okay? There are some texts and some traditions that say to do like this, okay? In the Gelugpa tradition, normally it is said that to do it very gently. We can exhale once, but if we do it 3 times, it helps to put all the air out. And when we do this, what we are imagining is like a sort of inner cleanup. So the air is going from inside, from the left nostril, going through the left channel, cleaning, pushing down all the lungro, all the corpse, the energy negativities. Going below the navel, we hold the energy, we put all the energy just 3 fingers below the navel. It's like we bring the energy from up to down and from down to up. For me, it's like the sensation of having this energy of jumping and at the same time of coming down together. We hold. So what we will do also is we take the lower muscles and we contract them in order to bring the energy up, and then with the breath we bring it down. So we hold our energy, which is also called in Chinese the qi, okay? So we hold our energy 3 fingers below the navel. So we clean first one channel, and then as we exhale, we imagine that all the energy is coming upwards through the other channel, and then cleaning. And then all the energy blockages, it dissolves into space as it goes out. Okay? It's like, in a way, we let this energy free. We're not throwing it into anyone, okay? Energy is not positive or negative by their nature. It depends how they interact with what they are, okay? So we just allow it, will go out, and then dissolve into space. And we do this for 3 times, okay? Inhale and exhale. One of the things which normally is not explained, but my own way of practicing, is that when we inhale, when we finish inhaling, as I said before, we do little bits of raised breathing. So we hold the energy below the navel, and then when we hold the breath, and then we exhaling. And when we exhale, we imagine like a sort of arrow going up, like the energy goes upwards. And then it completely throws out from the right nostril all the energy blockages. When we finish this for 3 times, the 3rd time after exhaling, we do the inverse movement as we keep our breath to the other side, and then we do the same. We inhale from the left, from the right, we exhale from the left, and we do the same visualization. Light goes in, it cleans the channel up to below the navel, then it goes upwards and clean it. When we finish that for 3 times, okay, then we do the inverse movement again. We place the 2 hands in the meditation concentration mudra. And then we inhale from both nostrils, the channels are clean and clear. And we imagine that the light and nectar is coming from the 2 nostrils, filling the 2 channels, and then they go inside the central channel. It fills the central channel, making a clean up in the central channel. And then after bringing all the dirt back again out as we exhale, and then cleaning the central channel as we exhale for the 3rd time. Okay, so I think the exercise itself is quite clear. When we do it, we can, in the beginning, you can do on different steps. First, you just focus on breathing and a little bit of visualization. Then you can have more clarity of the visualization. And then you can start breathing with 4 phases. So you have inhale, keep the breath. Exhale. Keep the breath. Inhale again, okay? The important thing is that don't force your breath a lot, okay? Do it on your own timing. So normally when I am guiding this practice, sometimes I feel a little bit uncomfortable because I feel that I need to adapt to the timing of others. But now that we explained the practice, I think each one can do in your own timing. So you do your own breathing, your own inhaling, exhaling. Yes? No, you contract the muscles when you inhale, which means then you bring the wind goes down, and then when it's arriving in the navel, you are contracting to put all the energy here. And then you let it go, it loosens when you exhale. Yeah, but don't focus too much on that, okay? This is something that if you have some experience with vase breathing, you can put the two things together. But just try to slightly do this. So you imagine all your strength, all your energy. It focuses 3 fingers below the navel, and then it goes out, okay? And for example, I have never done any martial arts, but talking to people that have higher experience of that, for example, we had here for 2 days this very kind and nice Japanese master of this lady of over 90 years old. And it was very nice to see. I really had fun having 2 days of training with her. And I remember this scene of this very big man. And she said, okay, put me down. And she was like maybe 1.50 meters, I don't know. And then there was this big man full of muscles, and he came down and put him down. And then in the beginning, he was a little bit afraid, this 90 years old lady. And then she said, no, put your strength, And then he did for real. And then it took 5 seconds. The guy was in the floor, and she was holding very gently his arm, and he was like crying with pain, saying, stop, and she was just smiling, holding like this. And she was explaining, and she said, women normally can do martial arts better than men, because the men have the tendency to use the muscle strength, while truly in martial arts you need to use the chi, energy. And everything is coming from 3 fingers below the navel. So all the movements, all the strength in the arm and everything, she said, you focus the energy below the navel. It's the same thing that we are doing now, okay? The same thing. So it's the same type of energy that we are talking, and if not exactly the same, very similar. So it's not something that is only in Buddhism. It's something that is part of our natural body states, and all those that have some understanding of it have this clear view. So it's this way of we focus the energy center, which is 3 fingers below the navel, and then from there we direct the energy. But instead of doing a 1-inch punch, like some martial arts experts or things like that, we use this energy to put all the negative energy blockages out. That's what we do with it, okay? And this is something that, as I said, no one becomes an expert in one time. You need to do it on different steps. So first we start with very basic, just breathing and visualizing the channels. Then slowly we can go deeper into understanding better the breathing system and everything else. Okay, so we do it together. We will do, so once again, just to explain to you, and then after each one will do in your own timing. So first we will do the Vajra fist, and then we do this stimulation of our channels. We go right hand, inhale, exhale 3 times, and then we go the other side around. We do the same thing, inhale, exhale 3 times. Then we go back, meditation mudra, and inhale, exhale 3 times. And once we finish it, we will just try to stay on our breath. And then I will give the instructions, okay? So first of all, we sit comfortably with our back straight but not tense. That's very important. Shoulders relaxed. Our head slightly forward. Our mouth is closed and relaxed, possibly with the tongue touching the palate. If not, no problem. Our eyes are slightly closed, so they are not very strongly closed. Some light can still come in, but we have not focusing our vision into anything in particular. Our right hand is above our left hand, and the two fingers, they touch at the height of our navel. And first of all, we allow ourselves to be present here in the present moment. And we simply observe our own breath without forcing anything. We observe ourselves as we inhale and as we exhale. Without forcing, we simply observe our own breathing. Gradually, we allow our breath to become more stable and to become deeper. We allow ourselves to be present at the present moment. As we inhale and exhale. Our body is seen clearly as a body of light. At the center of our body is our central channel, starting from our forehead and going down until the basis of our spine. We have a left and a right channel that start from our two nostrils and go side by side with the central channel and enters the central channel around 3 fingers below our navel. We can see clearly our energy channels. Just feel your body as a body of light. And rest your mind, observing your own channels.
inhale and exhale. We observe for a moment within our subtle energy body the blockages from our own negative emotions. We do not judge of what happened and how and why. We do not blame ourselves or others. We simply observe the energy blockages that have been accumulated in our subtle energy body. Blockages generated by hatred, by anger, by resentment. Blockage generated by unlimited attachment and desire. Energy blockages generated by ignorance. And together with it, there are the blockages of fear, of jealousy, of envy, and so on. We don't need to name them precisely, but we can feel them. We can feel the tensions within our subtle body of the negative emotions generated previously. We can see these blockages in the form of some dark matter that is inside our subtle energy channels. The right channel, the left channel, and the central channel. So inside our right channels are all the energy blockages created by unlimited attachment and desire. On the left channel, the blockages created by hatred and resentment and anger. And at the central channel, the blockages created mainly by ignorance and selfishness. In the space in front of us is Guru Buddha as the source of all qualities and blessings. We request Guru Buddha's blessings to help us to eliminate our own energy blockages. Guru Buddha smiles at us. As we will inhale, light emanates from the heart of Guru Buddha, entering through our nostrils and cleaning up our channels. As we go through the exercise, we can see and feel clearly that the blockages are completely eliminated. As we inhale and exhale, we do the Vajra fist and follow with the 9-cycle breathing. we see clearly our body as a body of light, and our 3 channels clean and clear, and our energy can flow naturally and spontaneously, free from any blockages. We rest our mind and body within this deep state. As we inhale, if there is any tension that we still feel in our body, we grab the tension as we inhale and we let it go away as we exhale. If there is no tensions left, as we breathe in and out, we simply rest our body and mind within this state where energy can flow naturally. And we simply rest our mind in the present moment. As we inhale and exhale. As we inhale, if there are any other tensions from our mind which have been left, such as fear of anxiety or anything else, as we inhale, we grab these tensions and we let them go out as we exhale. If there are no more tensions left, we simply rest our mind and body in the present moment. Focus your attention in your own body as a body of light, with a strong central channel and a balanced right and left channel. Rest your mind in the present moment as you see clearly your body of light. Gradually bring your attention more and more near to your body. Look at yourself from within. With your perception and attention, enter the central channel. And observe your own central channel from above, looking downwards. And then you move and travel within the central channel, going from top to bottom. Then you look upwards from the bottom to the top. Then you move again upwards and then downwards. Your mind at the center of your central channel at the heart chakra. Try to bring your attention and perspective from inside to outside, instead of looking at yourself from outside to inside. Slowly bring that attention in. Use your own breath to help you with the rhythm, to bring the mind inside. As we inhale and exhale. Once we are inside our central channel, it is extremely vast. It gives us this profound sensation of space. When we observe our central channel from outside, it seems small. But when we enter inside our central channel, it seems extremely vast and peaceful, a very peaceful place to be. A very joyful and peaceful place to be. Allow yourself just to remain and to rest yourself within your own central channel. Any other thought that may come to our mind, just let it go and bring back your attention to the beauty of the central channel. Allow yourself to be overwhelmed by the peace and beauty of looking from within the central channel. There is no more form, no more sound, no more taste, no more touch. A simply overwhelming experience of peace. In an experience of infinite inner space. as you keep the awareness of your breath, gradually we bring our attention back to our external senses, while keeping the connection with the infinite inner space within our central channel. As we inhale and exhale, we can see clearly our body of light with the central channel, the right and the left channel. We can feel the touch, the sensation of our body on the cushion, one hand touching the other, the sensation of the air in our nostrils as we inhale and exhale. The light coming in through our eyes, the sound that we listen. We keep the awareness of our breath and of our central channel as we gradually open our eyes and move our hand. So, the breathing technique that we have just done, so-called 9-cycle breathing, I call it so-called 9-cycle breathing because it's not a correct translation. No, the correct translation will be more into the 9 realizations or the 9 actions in relation to the energy garbage. That would be more correct, okay? And we attached to it another part of the practice, which is, in order to do well self-healing practice, we need to do well the preparations, okay? And one of the parts of self-healing is actually connecting and understanding and perceiving our own subtle energy body. So in order to do that, we need to get familiarized with it. And one of the important things is feeling and seeing that we have a central channel, a left and a right channel, the process of the meditation on which we meditate on our own body just as a body of light. This by itself is a very important part of practice also. If we just sit as we do the breathing, my advice is first do the 9-cycle breathing, and then just stay there and focus on your own body as a body of light. And allow yourself just to stay in that state for some time. Then, once you have done it, then you focus on the central channel, right and left channel. And the next step, which is, it's quite difficult actually, but we need to start training in order to be able to do, is to look at our channels from inside, not from outside. Because the tendency that we have is that we visualize and we imagine our subtle energy channels as if we were looking in a mirror. So we imagine like if I'm looking from outside or if I am looking here and I'm imagining what is happening. Because we have the perspective of reality through our eyes mostly. So our senses are all looking outwards mainly. So whenever we visualize and we imagine something, we have the tendency to imagine it through the perspective of our senses. So one of the parts of the practice is we need to bring our position from outside to the inside.
And one of the parts of the practice is that in which we bring our own attention from looking at ourselves from outside, we go inside the central channel. Okay? And just to say, when I was one time in Dhammakaya in Thailand, talking with some of the elder monks there about practice, and they were asking, and I was explaining this, they said, that's exactly what we should do also in our advanced practice, is to be able to visualize from inside. So the perspective is not looking from outside, seeing the central channel as something small. You go inside the central channel and you see from inside the central channel, and then it becomes so vast. Then there are other steps after, where we have the indestructible drop and so on, but we don't need to go through it right now. If we focus on this, it's already a lot. But we need to give some time and space for the different parts of the practice. Okay? So, 9 cycle breathing, very important. And then there is one of the names that is giving is to meditate on the empty body, which is we just meditate on the body of light, and then we do the channels meditation in which we familiarize ourselves with our subtle energy channels. And first there is some subtle energy channel touring, so we go from up to down, and then from down to up. And if we enter more details, then we can start seeing the chakras at one point. So when we are inside the central channel, we go down, and as we tour down like a sort of elevator going down, we see, 32 connections at the crown. Then we see the 16 connections going out at the throat. Then we see the 8 connections at the heart, and then the 64 connections at the navel, and then the 32 connections at the secret chakra. But before doing that, we just need to allow ourselves to go inside the central channel and to see. And one very important thing is, as we visualize that, we feel and experience a profound, peaceful place. There is one phrase which is from Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, which is attributed to Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, which is said, any time you pass outside the central channel is wasted time. So actually, when we bring our attention and our mind within the central channel, it is actually naturally going to bring the mind also to a deeper state of consciousness on different levels. So this is one of the things that we train. If we do this before, then after we will see that the whole practice of self-healing, actually, it's happening where? Inside the central channel. Okay? So, what I'm trying to do in a way is help everyone together, because every time we explain self-healing and so on, somehow we can go a little bit deeper, understand one part and go deeper into the practice. Then each one of us, we need to do the practice according to our own level of capacity and understanding and practice, okay? But it's important to know the different steps that can be done and that need at one point to be done. So, in order to be able to visualize the lotuses and the symbols and the Buddhas and everything inside our central channel, first we need to get some familiarization with the central channel. And this meditation by itself, we could do the whole week only this, actually. Yeah? And it's a matter also of the time that we have and the way we do. It just reminds me, one time I was with Rinpoche in Tibet, and near Shigatse, we went to one place which was a cave where Milarepa meditated. And it was quite hard, actually, to walk. It was like 3 hours walking up the mountain. I was so tired. We were like around 5,500 meters. It was quite something. And then when we reached almost to the top of this place, there were some caves and there were some people meditating there, living there. So Rinpoche met this monk from the Jonampa tradition, and then he came after to meet Rinpoche at his retreat center or at his monastery of Ganchen. And then we had some talk, and then he did some exercises, and I recorded it, but he asked it not to show publicly, so finally these recordings are somewhere, which I still need to even find where I left it. But one very nice thing he explained to me what they would do. He said, first, they would make 100 days retreat of just, first they would complete the preliminaries actually. So first they would do prostrations, retreat on refuge, on generating bodhicitta, connecting with the motivation, the intention, and everything else. Once they have completed this, then they will do 100-day retreat on the main practice, which in his case was the practice of Kala Chakra. And then after that, they would do another 100 days solitary retreat in the mountains of only breathing. No mantra, no prayer, no many visualizations, just central channel and training the breath. Then when he finished it, he would go to his teacher, his master, show him his own breathing way, and then after that, then they learn another 100, then he would receive the teachings and do another 100-day retreats on the different physical sort of yoga exercises, which we call trulkur, together. And he said that if you don't learn the breathing correctly, then the rest really doesn't come so well. So what I want to say is just that, okay, we are not meditators living in the caves. Each one of us have quite a different life. But we want to practice seriously also. So we need to focus on one step after that. There is no hurry to do the step 10 when we are in the step 1. We need to focus on that step. We need to give time to it. We need to taste it. We need to feel it. And then we'll go to the next one. At the same time, we see which are the steps to be done. So we have the whole pathway in front of us. But we do where we are, and then we look forward, say, okay, after I will do this, then I will do that, then I will do that, and we have the whole path in front of us, like the roadmap to follow. Okay? But we need to focus with calm, with attention to where we are. So I really think it's important for us to put some emphasis in the beginning with the 9-cycle breathing, with some breathing technique, bringing our attention to the present, taking away our mental agitation, visualizing our subtle body, in particular the 3 channels and especially the central channel, bringing our attention from outside to the inside and finding this experience a peaceful and joyful place inside. And experiencing that central channel as this infinite space. Okay? So, what we will do now, we will do once again the 9-cycle breathing, okay? And we'll go through it once again, so we can train a little bit into it. And then after, I let each one to do in your own timing, in your own place, but this is a very important part of the practice itself, okay? So we just sit once again, with the back straight. Our shoulders are relaxed. Our head slightly forward. The mouth is relaxed. The eyes are slightly closed, looking downwards. We are aware of our own breath. We simply observe it without forcing it. We allow ourselves to be present at the present moment.
can see our body clearly as a body of light, with a central channel, a left and a right channel. In the space in front of us is Guru Buddha, to whom we request the blessings. As we inhale and exhale. As we will do the 9-cycle breathing, try to focus mainly in the inner experience rather than in the external movements. We can see clearly our central channel, left and right channel. Inside our right channel are the sort of energetic, emotional garbage from our attraction, desire, insatisfaction. Inside our left channel are mainly our emotional, energetic garbage from our aversion, hatred, resentment, and so on. At our central channel is our energetic, emotional garbage from our ignorance and selfishness. We request Guru Buddha's blessings to clean our subtle energy body, to eliminate this energetic garbage, to transform it as we exhale and let it dissolve into space. Guru Buddha smiled at us, accepting our request for blessings. As we follow with the 9-cycle breathings, light and nectar emanates from the heart of Guru Buddha, entering through our nostril and cleaning our subtle energy channels. We do the Vajra fist and follow with the 9-cycle breathing exercise. body is clearly a body of light. And we can see clearly a strong central channel, clean and clear, with a left and right channel, also clean and clear. We gradually go inside the central channel. We enter from our crown, we see inside the central channel, look from up to the bottom, to down. Then we travel. And once we reach the bottom of the central channel, we look upwards as we see the complete central channel. At the center of it, at the heart chakra, we go deeper into it. And the experience is like the central channel expanding and expanding and expanding. It becomes extremely vast. We experience an infinite inner space. And we rest our mind in a state of peace, of bliss, within the central channel. As we inhale and exhale. We allow ourselves to rest our mind and our body, our whole being, into a profound state of peace, of infinite inner space within the central channel. All our other senses fade away. All our subtle energy winds absorb inside the central channel as we rest our mind and body within this profound state of peace and bliss, within the infinite space of the central channel. Keep the awareness of our breath, of infinite inner space with peace. And we gradually bring our attention back to our external senses as we open our eyes and move our hands. So I invite you to repeat this exercise during the day. Okay? So we will start every session these next days when we do together. We start with the 9-cycle breathing. And but during the day, whenever you can, maybe 1, 2 times, 3 times, don't need to make it very long. Just sit down calmly, visualize your body of light, visualize the 3 channels, the blessings coming, cleaning these channels, and then finally resting your mind within the central channel, which is not part of the 9-cycle breathing, okay? This is an extra, okay? Visualizing the body of light and then resting the mind within the central channel, it's already something else, extra. But putting this together fits very well, okay? So we do this, you try to repeat it again before you go to sleep, during the day, you can come in between something, go to one of the gompas, sit down, do it 10 minutes, it's more than enough, okay? But the more we do, the more gradually we get familiarized with it, okay? And physically, what is explained is that when we bring our attention clearly inside the central channel, our prana, our energy winds, like the nervous system, it stops going to the external senses. And they absorb inside the central channel. And when physically this happens, it naturally brings us from a conceptual gross level of consciousness to a non-conceptual deeper state of consciousness. Okay? And most of our problems on an emotional, mental level are not from a conceptual level. We also have conceptual problems, but that's the easy part to deal with. Okay? So the one of the goals is that we need to generate positive, virtuous states of mind on a deeper level, on a non-conceptual level. One thing is to think about love. Another thing is to experience love in a non-conceptual state. So it's 2 separate things. So what we do is we use the process of our body, of the subtle energies, to bring the mind from a conceptual to a non-conceptual state. And then later we put this together with states of love, of gratitude, of awareness, of wisdom, and then we bring this deeper level of familiarization. Okay? So, and if we do this well, it's also one of the best trainings also for our own death. So by doing this, we are training ourselves also to prepare ourselves in the moment of our own death. Okay? So as we go to it, if you do this practice really, really well, one of the signs is that at one point you lose completely contact with the conceptual state of thoughts. So there is no more past, future, judgment, and all of that. And you lose, before that, you lose contact with the other senses. So there is no more seeing, listening. We lose contact with all the senses. There is just this inner experience. Okay? And then, from that, there is a moment like a sort of awakening. Then you come back to the conceptual external world once again. Okay? But it's something that we need to repeat and we need to train. And I just wanted to add some explanation. As I said, when the mind goes inside the central channel, when the subtle winds actually go inside the central channel, it brings the mind to a deeper level of consciousness, which just by itself is nothing special. Going into deeper states of consciousness, non-conceptual states of consciousness, just by itself, it's nothing special at all. We all do when we go to sleep. We all do when anyone has an orgasm, this is also happening. When anyone dies, it's also happening in a very strong way. So it's not because we go into deeper states of consciousness that we evolve spiritually. Okay? But to remain with virtuous aspects only conceptually doesn't work either. So what we need to do is we need to be able to direct our mind from a conceptual gross level to a non-conceptual deeper state of consciousness with love, with compassion,
with gratitude, with faith, with wisdom, with bodhicitta basically. And then we are making really something very, very special. Okay? I don't know if it's clear, this. Because to transform our mind, what we need to do, we need to familiarize our mind with a certain state that we want to develop. So if I just remain on a conceptual level, I am interacting on a conceptual level, so I am transforming myself on a conceptual level. If I generate love and wisdom on a non-conceptual level, then I am familiarizing myself at a non-conceptual level, at a deeper level. Okay? What is a little tricky of these processes is that sometimes we may think that by simply bringing our mind to a non-conceptual state, that's the process itself. And this is just part of the process. Okay? Once we need to develop a deeper state of consciousness, but with a state of love and of wisdom, with bodhicitta. That's why first we need to generate also bodhicitta, which is the mind of enlightenment, which is basically love and wisdom, also on a conceptual, more gross level, and then we direct it for a more deeper level. This is what we can actually do, okay? But these are like different parts of the path. And just one more thing before we stop for lunch, is that the Eastern way of approach and the way of Buddhism is taught on the path, it's a bit different from our Western approach. On the Western system, we have a linear approach. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have a very linear approach to things. In the Eastern approach, mainly in Buddhism also like that, I cannot say every Eastern approach, but normally mostly like that, but in that Buddhism for sure, we have an approach that it's not linear. For me, it's more like a puzzle. So for example, let's say we need to put a puzzle of 10,000 pieces. Okay? I don't know how often you did puzzles. Okay? When I was a kid, I liked puzzles. Now it has been quite some time since I haven't done one. But when we have a puzzle and then we open the box with the 10,000 pieces, what do? We take one piece. First we need to find piece number 1. Then we need to look for piece number 2. Then we search for piece number 3. And like this we go on, or we divide by colors. And then we divide by little shapes. And we are able to put this goes together with this. Okay, then I make a little part here. Then that goes together with that, and I make another part there. Then we start by making the corners. And then slowly we put, and then, one part starts coming up here, and the other one coming up there, and the other there, and then finally there is the final piece that puts everything together in the center or in the corner or wherever. Okay? The path to enlightenment is more like a puzzle. We have different parts of the path that we get familiarized and we learn, and then slowly we put them together. And then when we see everything is connected, the sutra, the tantra, the philosophy, the meditation, the mantra, everything is connected, but it's all part of a whole. Okay? But it's not a linear approach. And it has one part which is very interesting, because when we are familiarized with one aspect, then all the rest comes easily. So, for example, some masters, there is the approach of you do one thing and you just do that. Because when you get truly familiarized with that, then all the rest comes easily. No? So I always remember of this friend of a friend of mine, which he studied Chinese medicine. And he was for a long time in China, and he had his Chinese medicine master. So he went to his master once, and he requested, please, I want to learn Chinese calligraphy. And this master had never taught a Westerner calligraphy. But he said, okay, to you I will teach. He said, okay, come tomorrow for the first class. So he went there, And he showed him, okay, the ink, the pencil, everything, and he said, okay, we do the first ideogram. I don't remember which was, I know very few, so he did the first one there. And he said, okay, good, come back tomorrow. Next day, come, the same one. 1 hour there with the master, just doing that. He showed to him, you repeat this. And he was there, just doing that one. No many explanation, just do one. Next day, the same. After 1 week doing the same ideogram, he started having doubts. Oh, is he treating me like this because I am a Westerner? Does he think I am stupid that I cannot learn other ideograms? How long I'm going to stay doing only the same ideogram all the time? But he had trust in this master, so he continued. And if I remember clearly, he did the same ideogram for almost 2 years, going every time there. And one time, he just forgot about thinking if it was okay. He was just do. And he said that one day, he just went there and he did it without thinking, the most natural way. And he did it really well without having any particular thought. And then that day, the teacher looked at him and said, okay, now I will teach you the rest. And in 1 day, he taught him, I don't know how, so many others. And in few days, he was doing all the ideograms very well. You know? So it's a complete different approach. So sometimes it's like, if you do one thing well, then it will open the doors for all the others. Our approach is we want to study all the ideograms, we want to index all of them, we want to go fast and learn all of them at once. You know, because we want to go through to conceptual memory and understanding instead of we could call the muscular memory, you know, to go on a deeper type of understanding and experience. And from that, then we can do all the rest. You know? So sometimes I see also in the approach of Buddhism, there is hurry. Oh, we want to do the whole practice. We want to hold and know the whole path. We want to do the whole thing at once. And we like the advanced stuff sometimes, you know. And we like, oh, that's, okay, we have 4 classes of Tantra. We start from the highest one. You know. And so on. So, I just want to say that it's very good to go through Anuttara Yoga Tantra and everything else. Very good to know the different practices, to do them. But we need to allow ourselves to have the time and the process to put the pieces of the puzzle together. You know? And some pieces, they take time to put together. And they stick then after they get out, and then you need to go and put them again. And if you don't put them again and again for some time, they will stick out again, and then you need to go and take the piece and put it again, and then you lose the piece, and you not go to find it again. Because at the same time that is when you are aware, you put the pieces of the puzzle together, we are so used to have the pieces of the puzzle messed up that as soon as we stop, we mess them up again. You know? And then we need to go and put them up again until we get used to have them in that way. So what I'm just saying is that give some time to your own process, meditate on your breathing, focus on the central channel, give some time for it. No hurry. Okay? And once we do that, then it's like from the center, all the rest is going to connect. Okay? It's a little bit like this temple. In the center, which represents the central channel, is our central column. And all the mandalas are coming from it. They manifest and they reabsorb from the central channel. No? So it's like, if we want to build this temple, first we need to make a good central pillar. If you don't have a good central pillar, the whole thing collapses. So first we build the central pillar, then we start making the ceiling and everything else and the walls and all the rest, you know? So it's like in the same way, first we focus on our breath, on the central channel, and from that, then we expand through all the rest somehow. And then we can able to reabsorb back into it also. Okay, so simple thing, and which we need to repeat and have our own experience. Okay. So now we will stop for lunch. And please give a chance to yourself. Do it. Okay? Allow, and don't need to be afraid, oh, maybe I don't do it exactly right. Just do it. You know? And then you will see at one point one piece is not matching, then you will see, oh, maybe instead of this is the other one, and then slowly the puzzle comes together. If you wait to make the puzzle perfect from the first shot, it will never happen. Okay? And then we will put the pieces together as we go along the path together. Okay? We make our dedications.
Jetsu Lama Kutse Rapten Chi Namkra Trinle Chokchur Gepa Dan Losan Tempe Drume Sasumgi Drove Munsela Taktu Negurchi Kewa Kuntu Yanda Lama Dan Dralme Cheki Pela Longchu Chi Sada Lamge Yundera Torce change kopa nyurtubeshu nimo dele nime kuyan dele kshi ninsen taktu koncho sumki chingi lobo koncho sumki trashishu. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations, path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. All'alba o al tramonto, di notte o durante il possano i tre gioielli concederci le loro benedizioni, possono aiutarci ad ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e cospargere il sentiero della nostra vita con molti segni di buon auspicio. Just one small, big information. This morning I received a call, also a talk with Paponka Rinpoche, Kyache Paponka Rinpoche, which is one of the most important masters of our lineage. And basically, also the dogs that we sent to Nepal, they have reached safely. Nima and Dawa, sun and the moon. And everything is fine. And now our friends Rocio and Alaor are there with Jamyang, with the dogs. Everything is okay. And they will take them to Paponka Rinpoche day after tomorrow. Because that's what Paponka Rinpoche said. First you rest, then you come. And this is also creating this particular connection. And actually not creating, the connection is there, but nourishing it. And so this is something very special. And as Paponka Rinpoche said, okay, you are doing all this job and so on with the dogs, but it is not only, it's related with the whole Sangha and everyone to make this connection. Okay, so just sharing with everyone this, okay? So... Oma huntam balame sangye rinpoche, kyo balame tamcho rinpoche, trim balame gendur, kyamne kuncho sumla chopa. Buon appetito.